Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/post. That's ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter.com/post.
Do you love wrestling? Do you love All Elite Wrestling? Make sure you check out The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. My name is Tyler Fornes, and my co-host Fred Moreland and I discuss all the happenings of All Elite Wrestling across the universe, including when they make trips overseas. We talk about Dark, we talk about Rampage, we talk about Dynamite, and everything in between, including Tony Khan and his both brilliant and confusing booking. Make sure you check us out. We drop our shows on Thursdays to make sure that we keep up with Dynamite and make sure we give you all the current happenings in All Elite Wrestling.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Super kick, hot tag! You know it's all about life! I'm better than you, and you know it!
A storm is coming.
Oh my God, is that Private Party?
The revolution is televised.
Natural female.
Join the Dark Order.
That belt's yours. This one, Cody, is mine.
You're listening to Music of the Mat on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to Music of the Mat, the podcast devoted exclusively to the music of pro wrestling. It's all part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andrew Rich. This is episode 161, and it's a third AEW Grab Bag. And today I'm joined by a first-time guest here on the show. She is a writer and editor with works published in such places as the Boston Globe, Rolling Stone, Time Magazine, and Entertainment Weekly. She's also an adjunct professor at Boston College. She's also a radio DJ, a former music editor for The Village Voice, and most importantly, a Boston resident just like me. It's Maura Johnston. Maura, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, definitely. I know ever since you were on another Massholes podcast, Jesse Collins, the Gentleman's Wrestling podcast a few months ago, people in the VOW Discord have been wondering, when you're going to be on this Massholes podcast. And, well, here you are. So let the people rejoice, Maura.
Excellent. I'm making the Masshole rounds. It makes me feel more of a native of the area, too. So that's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know originally you're not from Boston. You're from Long Island, right?
I am from Long Island, yes. I'm from Hicksville, Long Island, which is Billy Joel's hometown, but now, more notably, also the home of Creative Pro. So, very exciting. Yeah. And I lived there. I lived in New York until 2013 when I came up to Boston, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, Billy Joel, Lorraine Bracco, MJF, all the stars are here.
Well, he would be very quick to say he's from Plainview and not Hitsville. There's definitely a rivalry there. But yeah, and the Long Island Medium too.
Oh, well, can't forget her, of course. Yeah. Well, to me, look, you're one of us now, I think. I mean, anyone who names their cat Nuno after Nuno Betancourt, the lead guitarist of Extreme, that's a true Bostonian right there, okay? You might as well call it Aerosmith or whatever, all right? So you're one of us now, so good on you.
Thank you. Well, Nuno has more vowels than Aerosmith. Pet names with vowels are my thing, for sure. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, since it's your first time on the show here, Maura, I'll ask you this. How did you become a wrestling fan? How'd you get into it?
I first got into it, I guess, when I was younger. My sister and her friends on the block really got into it. This was the Ultimate Warrior era, so like the, late 80s, early 90s. And then I was kind of dormant for a bit. And then when I lived in Philadelphia in the early 2000s, I would watch it a lot with my friends. And actually one of my friend John Solomon, who is an incredible DJ, who just is an awesome person. He would write recaps of us watching Raw and SmackDown in Philadelphia for a now defunct website. And then I kind of fell off. I moved to New York and I kind of fell off for a bit. But when I moved back to Boston, a friend of mine named Jim McGrath, who is a fellow academic, he invited me over to watch, I believe it was the Royal Rumble where AJ Styles debuted. I think that was the first show that we watched together. And then we just started watching wrestling together. And then I got, kind of into it. And I got more into it when AEW started because I was just really excited about this new thing because it definitely spoke to some of the frustrations that I was having about watching WWE. And when Moxley kind of showed up at Double or Nothing, that really sealed the deal for me.
Just curious, do you watch other wrestling besides AEW? Because I know you watch that because you're in the Discord, but do you watch like New Japan or stuff like that?
I try to. I mean, I try to keep up. It's I go to Beyond shows, especially when they're closer to Boston. But I would go to like Uncharted Territory and Wrestling Open with some friends of mine. I try to keep up. I mean, it's a lot, and one of the things that makes keeping up with sort of any media a little tricky is that like my day job, as it were, requires me to kind of have my stereo running all the time, so I can't multitask and everything. So I would like to, I have subscriptions to New Japan World and Wrestle Universe and Ring of Honor. It just is a matter of carving out that time. Because, there's Eurovision to be watched, too.
Oh, yes. Well, of course.
Yeah.
The ultimate competition, yes.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, I know that music has played a big part in your life just in general. That's pretty obvious, I think. But as far as your wrestling fandom goes, has music played a big part in that over the years?
I would say so, yeah. I think Mikey Ruckus is doing a really great job making themes and stuff. And I always think that the theme choices on the indies are really interesting as far as what aspects of the wrestlers' characters they bring out. And I've always enjoyed the special entrances. Like I went to Double or Nothing last year when Ruby Soho got played for Ruby Soho when she entered the ring, and I've really enjoyed the presentation of some of the other wrestlers' themes. I haven't done any interview specifically about music yet, except for I DM'd a little bit. I did a DM interview with Mikey Ruckus when I had to write a wrestling piece for the LA Times. But other than that, I'd like to do that more because I think it's a really interesting intersection just because of the way it really fills out the universe. And also it's interesting to see kind of how these pieces of culture connect to one another. Certainly the Bad Bunny thing has been really fascinating to me because he is, I saw him at Fenway Park last year and he is one of the biggest stars in pop music right now. And but the way that he goes full all in with WWE, I think it really burnishes that brand with an audience that might not have encountered it otherwise.
Yeah, this guy is like selling out arenas everywhere. And there he is doing Canadian Destroyers and taking choke slams. I mean, it's crazy, but being a wrestling fan makes you do crazy things. I think we're proof of that. I think, Maura. But But you mentioned Mikey Ruggis, and that's for good reason, because today we are doing an AEW Grab Bag episode. This is our third AEW Grab Bag, and funny enough, when I did Volume 2 of this, the guest I had on was a Mr. Will Washington, who got a job at AEW. So, look, I'm not saying you're going to get a phone call from TK after this, Maura, but I'm not saying it. So, but anyway, yes, we're doing another AEW themes episode here, and it's an interesting time for AEW right now, because on the one hand, the most recent run of Dynamites this past month or so have not been well received. I mean, the last one with Omega and Moxley in the cage, that was a great episode. But before that, it's been shaky, let's just say. On the other hand, they just sold 60,000 tickets to Wembley Stadium for All In. They have a rumored giant TV rights deal coming. There's another new show, Collision, on the horizon. CM Punk is coming back. So, it's very much a swings and roundabouts situation here, Maura.
Definitely. Well, I would say that's the case with, I feel like any media property now, especially AEW, which has been kind of hyper-analyzed since it launched, right? And so any little movement is going to just be fixated on and focused on. And, peaks and valleys are a part of life, right? So I think that I'm super curious to see where things go over the next couple of weeks, because obviously there's also Forbidden Door coming up. And, there's like sort of in that realm is also Double or Nothing in a week, in 2 weeks, and All Out, which sort of brackets the summer. And they're also coming to TD Garden, which is a big upgrade from the Agganis Arena. A little bit more of a schlep for me, but I'll take it.
Yeah, the Agganis Arena is like 5 minutes from my apartment, so it's it's a nice, quick, easy ride to get to Dynamite. I mean, TD Garden is not that much of a hike; it's just more of a longer train ride. But still, the Agganis Arena is very convenient for me anyway. But listen, if you're gonna go bigger in Boston, TD Garden is the place to do it. No better place, I think, there, Maura. So.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great venue. Great venue. Have seen a lot of good shows there in my tenure at the Boston Globe, so it's been fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you mentioned, Double or Nothing coming up in a few weeks, and then after that, it's Forbidden Door, and then Wembley, and All Out, and Grand Slam. I mean, they're setting up to have a really big summer in that company for sure, and we just gotta get over the hump of Double or Nothing. Just gotta get past this pay-per-view, and it should be smooth sailing from there. And if they have more episodes like they did last week, it'll make the trip a lot smoother, I think, Maura. That's for sure.
I think so too. I think you're absolutely right on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get to the songs here. Now, originally, I had 10 on the docket, but Maura asked me very nicely if I could squeeze in a few more on the list, and me, being the gracious host that I am, of course said yes. So, a couple of bonus tracks here on the episode, if you will.
I appreciate your generosity.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, for you, anything. Okay, so don't worry about it. So we'll start off here with the first theme, and it's for the AEW International Champion, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. And OC's theme is by Jefferson Starship, off the album Freedom at Point Zero. This is Jane. So for the longest time, I associated this song with Wet Hot American Summer, but now it's very much the Orange Cassidy theme. And this was his indie theme before AEW, of course, and the funny thing is, when they gave him a real song in AEW a few years ago, it wasn't this. it was Pixies' Where Is My Mind, which is another great song. And then last year he finally got Jane. So OC getting not one, but two great real songs as a theme. Lucky guy there, Maura, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, he deserves it though, right? I mean, he's not just lucky, he works hard. And I feel like Jane is such a great song. I should also note that it was also the first song that you heard in the film Cocaine Bear.
Right,
which was directed by Elizabeth Banks, who was in Wet Hot American Summer. So there's definitely a little, mini universe of Orange Cassidy and of Jane that's developing. But I feel like it's such a great song for this era of Orange Cassidy too, because I feel like Pixies Where Is My Mind, fantastic song. I mean, obviously one of the titanic songs of the sort of college rock era, but I feel like this song is so good. Obviously it has a backstory for him, but it's also really indicative of, I feel, his trying era. Do you know what I mean? Like how he's used this championship to really kind of level himself up as a wrestler and to prove a lot of people wrong, which he was doing anyway, but I think even more so he's been doing it in this era of his AEW tenure. I should also point out, I feel like it's really funny that it was, legal stuff that prevented Orange from using Jane for a while, because this album, Freedom at Point Zero, that Jane is on, was the first Jefferson Starship album to have Mickey Thomas as lead singer, and that was sort of the precursor to like all of the different, like, you hear a lot about bands having substitute members. I mean, even Pixies now have brought in a bunch of bass players to take the place of Kim Deal, but Jefferson Airplane / Jefferson Starship / Starship were kind of the OGs of that, if you will, in that, they changed names, they changed band members, they were always kind of legal squabbling with each other. So it's really interesting that also sort of spilled over into this aspect of things.
Well, listen, as someone who's a big fan of bands like Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, I'm very well aware of lineup changes in bands. Okay.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the two versions of LA Guns that have been squabbling in the courts were not even a glint in Tracy Guns' eye when this all started with some of these bands. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a few years ago, actually, I saw not Yes, but Yes featuring John Anderson, Trevor Rabin, Rick Wakeman. So
wow.
I'm also well aware of the dual bands phenomenon, of course. Yeah,
totally,
but as far as Jane goes, you're right. Pixies, that song a little bit more slowed down, a little bit more even keeled, I guess you might say. Jane, more peppy, more energetic a little bit. So it definitely fits this whole era of Orange where he's, trying a lot more. Yeah. But also, it works really well as an entrance theme. Lyrically, not so much, but, musically with the piano intro that just builds up, do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and the video screens are all black, and then it kicks in, and the entrance video turns on, and the melody is kind of serious, but also a little bit lighthearted, which fits Orange's vibe, of course. So, yeah, I think all in all, money very well spent on TK's part, Maura.
I totally agree. Yeah. And, it's also really fun when it's like the end of the show and an Orange win ends the show, and then the song gets to its sort of bridge portion. That's when you know that things are really just going well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's having a hell of a year and a hell of a title run too, which is funny. When they announced that he'd signed with the AEW a few years ago, people were like, I don't know if this is going to work, but it's worked out better than I think anyone ever could have imagined. He's a popular guy. He's one of the hardest working guys, they have, and he's also the most successful men's singles champion in company history in terms of defenses. So, he's worked out just so well, Maura.
Yeah, I would agree. And, he also is just so charismatic and he strikes a chord. I mean, he's one of the people who, people dress up like him to go to shows, not just kids either, people of all ages, which I think speaks to a charisma that he has.
It's a pretty easy costume, to be fair. I mean, just,
well, yeah, that's
a little
true.
bit of denim, some sunglasses, you're good to go.
You gotta get the right kind of denim, though, and that could be very tricky depending on what the trends are in that year.
I suppose. Song number 2, and it's for the Japanese phenomenon Konosuke Takeshita. Of course, originally from DDT, but now signed with AEW, which is pretty cool. Takeshita's AEW theme is by Mikey Ruckus, here he is, and it's called Face Off. Take his face off. So, ever since this song debuted, I think everyone and their mother has said the same thing, which is, this sounds like the Nitro theme. And in fairness, it really does, but Mikey swears it's just a coincidence. The main inspiration for this song is Daisuke Sekimoto's theme and Gangplank Galleon from Donkey Kong Country.
Wow.
So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's a kick-ass theme, a lot of energy, a lot of thrust to it, and it has that triumphant, heroic tone to go along with Takeshita's, heroic fighting spirit mentality. So it's a good fit, I think, Maura.
I think so too. I think the one thing that it could use is maybe just a little bit more of a peak at that point where he would like hit the ramp. But I think the overall vibe of it really gets people going. Certainly, when I went to the show on Long Island last month, and he came out at the end of the night, and still when that theme hit, people got really excited, which is a testament to his charisma, but also to, I think, the way that this song can really pump up a crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one definitely grew on me as it came along, because I love his DDT theme, which he used for the first few months in AEW, but I guess if you sign a guy, he's going to be here for the long haul. You want to put your own stamp on him with your own song, and also not pay the rights to the Japanese theme. That too, I think. But this grew on me, and it's not as epic as the DDT theme is, of course, but it still has that similar high-speed rock vibe there to it. More.
Yeah, it kicks ass, but like in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Takeshita. I mean, just what can I say? One of my favorite guys in the company. Just such a great wrestler, and someone who has gotten really over with the fans just by being a great wrestler. It's not that difficult. Just have some great matches, people will like you more. It seems pretty simple, but yeah, I hope that he just has all the success in the world in AEW, and hope he's a major player in the company for years to come.
Very, very excited about him in a lot of ways, and I'm super curious to see how he fits into the whole Elite BCC story in the coming weeks.
Theme number 3, and it's for the delightful Willow Nightingale, a Northeastern graduate, I believe. Willow's theme is from the Nonstop Producer Series label from the Warner Chappell Music Library. This is by Chase Baker, and it's called Hip Twitch. Every time this song hits, I get the biggest smile on my face. I mean, this is just a tremendous, funky dance brew. It's kind of like a knockoff, random Access Memories era Daft Punk sort of thing, with the modulated vocals, get it right, you and I, baby, we know how to get it right. And it's perfect for Willow, who just brings the fun, brings the excitement, and brings the joy, and she is just the most babyface to ever babyface. So, yeah, I defy anyone to not dig this song more.
Oh, it's so much fun. And, I mean, she is just so fantastic. She's somebody who, since I first saw her at a Beyond show, I've just been completely bowled over by her charisma and her, she's just incredible. I mean, she's just incredible to watch, and you can hear it, anytime that she comes out, the crowd just, freaks out. And part of that too, obviously, is because a lot of the shows that I go to are in this area where, she has a lot of fans from being from Northeastern and, from Beyond and other promotions in the area. But I think that she is just she's got it, she has, I think that her charisma can translate to so many other arenas. And I feel like it's funny because I was looking at the page for this album on the Warner Chappell production music site, because this is a song, this isn't by Mikey Ruckus, so this is a piece of production music, that was designed to just go with any kind of TV show or other broadcast medium out there. And some of the usages, one of them is a game show, and it just made me want Willow to become the host of The Price is Right or something, because she could really get that crowd energy going,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you mean, definitely. Well, I remember at last year's Boston show, Willow had a match on Rampage against Red Velvet, and I remember thinking that this music is just so awesome. I hope they don't change it, and so far they haven't, thankfully. And there was also the match where the crowd got so behind Willow that they booed Red Velvet, and that's kind of the charm of Willow. She has so much charisma and energy. She can just turn the fans to her side no matter what. And the music does help too. There is that. The music does help in a big way, Maura, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that was an incredible. You were at that show too, because that was just such an incredible thing to watch and to be in the midst of.
Yeah, I was there. That was the show with FTR Young Bucks, the rematch. Yeah, that was a really good show.
And Yuta.
Oh right, yeah, that too. The Moxley Blood match. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, for sure. Well, also a big shout out, of course, to Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman for dancing at the commentary table when this song hits, because I mean they're doing it right, just getting their groove on. God love them both, Maura. God love them both.
Absolutely, yes.
Up next, we're gonna go to the leader of La Facción Ingobernable, El Toro Blanco, Rush, and Rush's AEW theme is by Mikey Ruckus. This is Bullwhip. So a few years back, I did an episode about Rush's themes, and one of the songs he had in CMLL was Black Skinhead by Kanye West, with the intro being the scene from Wolf of Wall Street with Matthew McConaughey doing the So I think we know where the inspiration for this one came from, but still, this is a really cool theme, very menacing, has that rollicking dun 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 rhythm, and the Roosh, Roosh. It really helps convey Roosh as this dangerous guy, as this bull who's going to get in there and mess you up. So we had the niceness with Willow's theme, of course. And now we have the
definitely a study in contrasts of this in this part. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, now we have the Menace of Rush's theme. There you go, Maura. Yeah,
absolutely. I love this theme. I love this theme from the first time I heard it. It's so funny though because I didn't realize I haven't watched a lot of CMLL, I will confess, and I didn't realize the black skinhead connection. I think because I've memory wiped a lot of the debates about Yeezos because that was a very dark period in the music criticism world. But once you mentioned it, I was like, oh right, that's very, very obvious. But I feel like it's a testament to Mikey Ruckus's ability to kind of take these ideas and build on them in exciting ways that it still isn't, like, oh well, it's just this redux.
Mm-hmm, right, yeah. And what also helps too is that he looks the part. He comes out with the big bull mask and he's all jacked up and wet and slapping his chest, and he has the entourage with him, with Jose and Vance and Jalistico. He just looks like someone you don't want to mess with. And him coming out with this song, it's not just some generic rock riff. It sounds ominous. It sounds dangerous. So I think Mikey did a great job of matching the tone of the song with the tone of the guy, Maura.
Yes, very much. And just the way in which that roosh is just repeated throughout the song, it also primes the audience to get chanting, which is great.
Mm-hmm, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Roosh. I mean, I've been a big fan of his in AEW, and I'm just amazed at how well he's worked out. Because he has a reputation. We all know this, but he's been a good soldier. He's been a locker room leader, as the Discord says, more so than Andrade has been. That's for sure. But Roosh has been awesome in AEW, and hopefully that lasts because he's got a great theme and a great vibe and a great presence, Maura. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's only been a year since he was first introduced because it was the video package of Double or Nothing last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty great.
Theme number 5, and it's a tag team theme. It's for Austin and Colton the Guns, former AEW tag team champions. And the Guns theme does not have a named artist. I don't know who does it. I believe it's a friend of the Guns who wants to remain anonymous. I think that's the story. But anyway, this is simply called the Guns theme. So I love a lot of songs on this episode, but especially this one. Ever since this song debuted, I've been a big fan. It starts off with the train whistle and the guitar strum and the railroad crossing bell, and you think, okay, it's going to be like a Western kind of theme. And then it takes this big left turn into, 80s spacey keyboard territory. So it's kind of combining these two worlds, and it turns out to be really damn good, Maura.
I would say, yeah. I think it's really evocative. I actually kind of also love how it's really good, but it also kind of sums up their sort of modern douchey guy appeal in this very kind of open road on the highway driving down way. And I feel like it's, the musical equivalent of those earrings that stud Colton's braid. It's just really, it's really well done, and it really frames them, I think, in a way that is effective.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Guns have a whole Western motif to them anyway, with the name and the Colt 45, 310 to Yuma. So it's playing off that, but it's not necessarily going for just a straight up, kind of cowboy song. That's more Hangman's territory, to be fair, But it still conveys that feeling of like, the outlaws riding into town on their their robot horses or what have you. So, it has that futuristic yet retro 80s Western vibe kind of. It's a whole big mishmash of stuff, and it works, Maura, I think.
Very like desert windswept kind of stuff, but with, you said, a modern flair. So maybe like that neon blue sunset feel.
Right, yeah. I also want to bring up the time that the Guns came out to Many Men by 50 Cent.
Yes, that was awesome. I was at that show. That was great.
It was incredible because, it's 50 Cent and it's the Guns, and you never think to put them together. But, I mean, that entrance of them, in the spotlight and the camera circling around them and Austin's rapping along, I mean, that is a really cool entrance, and it's made, like, even better by that kind of extra layer of, it's the Guns, it's these total goobers coming out to 50 Cent. So, just a tremendous moment on Dynamite, Maura.
It also worked really well because it was in New York, right? And so it was like a lot of people who, 50 Cent, like obviously Long Island is New York adjacent, but it was adjacent enough to Queens that there were lots of 50 Cent appreciators in the crowd, and people were kind of freaking out.
I can imagine, yeah.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/post. That's ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter.com/post.
Moving on now to the next theme, and it's for Chris Statlander, currently out injured. Hope she gets back soon. Stat's theme is by Mikey Ruckus. This is Cauterize. So Stat got this theme when she changed her gimmick, went from doing all the alien stuff to a more straightforward wrestler, the whole more than a woman kind of thing. So they changed her song too, and her song is pretty straightforward here. Got that no-nonsense rock riff to it, and a little bit of orchestration in there as well. It's a bit generic, I think, but if you're going to portray Stat as being more serious, then a song like this does work a lot better than, say, her old theme, which reference all the alien stuff in there with the lyrics. So I think it did make sense for the gimmick change, Maura.
I think it does the job well. Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious because, I mean, this theme, effectively was only used for about 4 months since she left, she injured herself in August of last year. So I'm wondering if when she does come back, if they'll go back to the song or if there'll be another iteration of the theme. I would imagine she'll still use the more than woman gimmick just because it seems like that was really effective, and it seems like that was also setting her up to kind of dethrone Jade Cargill eventually for the TBS championship. But yeah, I think that I think it's a really interesting situation that this particular song is in, since it was used for such a relatively short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you listen closely, there are still pieces of her old theme in the melody of this one. So there's still that connection to the older era in there, and Stat does that herself with the face paint too, in a way. But yeah, the message is very much still about starting a new path, and there's no come and take a ride with me to a brand new galaxy lyrics there either. So yeah, but yeah, I miss Statlander a lot. Hope she comes back soon. I know 2 knee injuries like that, those are tough. Those are tough to deal with. But look, wrestlers are freak athletes. They come back from injuries all the time, and I hope she does come back and be the one to dethrone Jade, because that seemed like the plan, and then she got injured, and that threw a big monkey wrench, or a big alien wrench, I should say, in the works. So, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Statlanders, and hopefully she comes back soon and stronger than ever, Maura.
Is an alien wrench an Allen wrench variant?
Hey, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely with you. I can't wait for her to come back. I think she's so fantastic. Like, just, again, such charisma, so good in the ring, and I'm hoping that, when she returns from this injury, she is better than ever.
Definitely. Theme number 7, and it's another tag team theme. Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, Cool Hand Ange, Angelo Parker, 2.0. Members of the JAS, and 2.0's theme is again by Mikey Ruckus. This is Sunset in the Vice. So I mentioned the 80s vibes earlier with the Guns theme. We'll move out of the way because here comes the main course. I mean, this is 80s synthwave vibes up the wazoo, just driving in a red Corvette down the highway, Ray-Bans on, warm weather, sun going down. I mean, it's called Sunset in the Vice, for God's sake. It's pretty on the nose, Maura.
Canadian Vice, right? I think I love this theme. I mean, I feel like it fits the appeal of Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange, which they have that kind of uncannily retro appeal, like very kind of old school, obviously, but with a very 2023 twist. I like this track, although I do wonder if it couldn't use, a sort of You Belong to the City style sax solo at some point, because I feel like that would really just nail the vibe even more perfectly.
That would be nice, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you said, if anyone fits the vibe of like 80s bad guy henchman, it's 2.0, because you have Cool Hand Ange looking like a prime yuppie in the shirt and suspenders and the comb.
And his comb.
And then you have Daddy Magic, who is the human embodiment of cocaine. Just constantly screaming, big bug eyes. He is booger sugared to the max. So regardless of whether or not there's a sultry saxophone in there, I think going for that 80s Miami motif with this song is a good choice for them, Maura.
Absolutely.
Next up is the theme for the ROH World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, member of the Blackpool Combat Club, and Claudio's theme is one he had in ROH way back in the day, and he's got it again now. This is originally composed by Tchaikovsky. I don't know who does this version. I don't think it really matters either way, but this is the 1812 Overture. So obviously this isn't the entire song, this is just the last 90 seconds or so, which is the most famous part, you know, dun 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 ba 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 ba. The Boston Pops played every year for the 4th of July, and it immediately stands out as an actual piece of classical music, not just, you know, part of the deluge of rock or metal or hip-hop themes. It's powerful, it's rousing, it has the big cannons, and it's based on the Russian victory over Napoleon, so it's got that air of strength and pride around it too. And I think Claudio is a guy who is also powerful, he's also rousing, he also has big cannons, he's strong, he has pride, so it's a great match there, Maura.
Yeah, and he could probably defeat armies if called upon, I think. Yeah, I think that this is so great. You know, definitely the earlier rework, the Uppercut Symphony version was more kind of peppy and, you know, a take on it that was a little more heroic. And so just the straight up orchestral rendition is more appropriate to the more serious, non-amateur Blackpool Combat Club as heels era of Claudio. I really, really like the usage of this. I like the edit of it. I think that, you know, just the way that it hits initially is really effective.
Yeah, that was in my notes too, how his first AEW theme, the Uppercut Swingphony, that was also the 1812 Overture, but that felt a little bit more, you know, light, a little bit more playful with the rock guitar. Heel Claudio, though, he is all business, he's going to destroy you, no playing around, so yeah, a much better choice to go back to the much more serious orchestral version. And you know, the cannons are going off, boom, that's great too, and it's a victory song, so yeah, there's the mentality of I'm going to win, so there is that little layer there too, Maura.
Definitely that kind of, I know that I'm going to win. I mean, using it as entrance music too, it's like, well, me winning is a foregone conclusion, so I might as well just play the fanfare now and get it out of the way.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I'd say this is one of Claudio's better themes he's had in his career for sure, because he's had some stinkers too. I mean, that Siren one, no thank you, but this song is really cool and really unique too, like I said, so yeah.
I actually really liked that super glitchy WWE theme of his, and I had it as a ringtone for a while, because it was it got my attention. It would cut through the loudest music that I was listening to. It was very effective. It was very useful in that way.
Theme number 9, and it's for the Bastard Pack. Currently somewhere in England, MIA. I don't know, probably being a bastard somewhere there. Pack's theme is another Mikey Ruckus song. This is called Out of Time 2.0. So, from day one of Pac's post-WWE run as the Bastard, he's always, you know, portrayed himself as, as a bastard. You know, he's not clean-cut, he's not kissing babies or hugging fat girls. He is this angry goblin man who is just a bit unhinged, shall we say, and that's what makes him so dangerous. You know, as the song goes, out of my head, you're out of time. So, him having this, you know, very erratic, unhinged song with all sorts of elements like rock and strings and that evil dubstep, you know, it lines up with that very well, I'd say, Maura.
Totally, yeah. Mikey Ruckus was asked about this theme during, like, he does a lot of Q&As on Twitter, and so in November 21, he said that, quote, Pac wanted a psychotic runaway type prodigy theme. Which
I can hear it. I can hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can hear that, you know, you can see him kind of running around like in the video for Firestarter or something. And I think it just has such fantastic little menace era energy rather, that it just really works. And it gets you psyched. I'm really psyched for him to come back. I should also say I really like the 8-bit rework of this theme a lot too, that appears on 8-Bit Mayhem. The Mikey Ruckus did an album of a bunch of the AEW themes in video game mode, and this one is really, really fun. Like it's very marauding, killing all the aliens or whatever might be besieging you.
Yeah. Well, Pac's a guy who he's done so well in really cultivating his character, not just with his wrestling or his promos, but like the imagery surrounding him too. Like the entrance video for this is also very chaotic, and there's like close-up shots of him, laughing and screaming, and the footage is all just janky. I think it's Beyond Gorilla who does that stuff with him, which is a really he does a great job with that stuff. Pac he's not just doing these generic bad guy promos in front of a wall. There's actual production behind it and actual, creativity there. So, Pac is someone who definitely goes the extra step in, crafting a well-defined character and a well-defined persona without going, too overboard with it either, Maura.
I would agree with you on that. Absolutely. He has a very defined idea of what his character should and should not be, which is very key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, should be hammers. Shouldn't be smiling. So
right.
Very, very simple rule of thumb there for sure. Theme number 10, and this is one of Maura's extra picks. And if you're wondering who was so lucky to get their theme added to the show, it's the one and only Hollywood hunk, Ryan Nemeth, yes, of the Wingmen. And Ryan's theme is by Mikey Ruckus featuring Emma Guerrero. This is Walk of Fame. So I apologize for not including this one in my original 10 because I forgot just how great this song is. I mean, it's repetitive, of course, like most themes, but it is catchy as all hell. And I don't even like Ryan Nemeth as a wrestler, but I hear that chorus, say, yeah, got my star on the Walk of Fame, bow, bow, and I'm like, yeah, baby, let's go, Ryan Nemeth, Wingman, come on. So thank you for nudging me to include this one more. It's pretty great.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll always ride for this song. I mean, I love Sleigh Bells, who are, they're this duo. They were from New York, and basically they just made like pop music that made you want to run into a brick wall, where it was just this woman, Alexis Krauss, who has a voice similar to Emma Guerrero's. It's very kind of girlish and sweet, but then the producer would make these beats that were just pummeling and would surround you in like harshness, and it's such a great mix. They're still making music. Their records are just still constantly really awesome to get pumped up to, and I guess they're Ryan Nemeth's favorite band, so that's why he asked Mikey to make the song in this style. And I think it's so effective because it really makes you turn your head with that opening sort of punch of synth. I will say also that I think the Wingmen have some pretty good themes. I love Pretty Peter Avalon's Sexy Time theme too, that has that really kind of yacht rock feel to it. But I always get excited when they use Walk of Fame as the Wingmen walk out instead of Peter's.
Well, I just love when a female vocalist does a song for a male wrestler. I love that so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Same for, Johnny Gargano's old Rebel Hearts theme.
Oh, yeah.
Same for Christian's Just Close Your Eyes, the original version by Waterproof Blonde. Love that too. And yeah, if you're going to do a song in the vein of sleigh bells, then duh, you're going to get a female singer, of course. So yeah, and I like a couple of their songs too. Tell 'em, that's a good song.
Oh, it's great.
Real, that's pretty good
so
too.
Good, yeah.
So yeah, listen, if you have a woman singer doing a theme for a male wrestler, I'll give it a serious shot. And this one definitely tickles my fancy, Maura, that's for sure.
Same, yeah. Yay, Ryan Nemeth.
So the 11th theme here is the last of my original picks for the episode. And look, I couldn't not include the tremendous theme here for Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Yes, it's their tag theme by Mikey Ruckus. This is My World and Circumstance. So this is obviously a mashup of Jarrett's My World and Lethal's Stomp and Circumstance, which he only used once for his debut, I believe, at Full Gear 2021. But it seamlessly flows from one to the next, and I think it's a lot like the actual Jarrett and Lethal team, where at first you're a bit skeptical of the whole thing, but then somehow it ends up working. And I think this Jarrett, Lethal, Sanjay, and Satnam combination has been so much fun, and a lot of that has to do with the good old-fashioned bree-woo of My World. So, listen, I can't help it. I like the song. I like the group. It's all tremendous, Maura.
It's fantastic. You know, mashups are super tricky. I mean, I lived through the early 2000s when mashups were the big thing at every indie disco out there. And, you know, sometimes they can really be, they can work for like maybe an 8 count and then they just fall apart. And so shout out to Mikey Ruckus for knowing how to fuse these two songs together, because I think that he did a really great job. And like you said, it is kind of similar to the appeal of the team itself, in as much as if you have two strong elements and you have to put them together, you might think that it would fall apart, but in this case it works really well. I also thought that the mashup of Sammy Guevara and MJF's theme that Mikey put together a couple weeks ago was really good too.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about Mikey is he always loves to go the extra mile for these mashup themes. Like you mentioned the Sammy MJF one. He got the guy who does Sammy's theme to re-record lines to better fit the mashup with MJF's theme. So yeah, he does that sort of thing. And with this one as well, I didn't realize this until I heard the song up close, but he actually re-recorded the vocals for My World a little bit to better fit the mashup, because those aren't Dale Oliver's vocals; those are his vocals. So yeah, I think he does a great job of keeping the original spirit of My World alive for the most part, but adding in his own little flavor here and there to the mashup to make it his own. So yeah, good on Mikey.
I feel like that's part of his magic, though. Like I think that makes what his best songs so good is that he has that kind of not reverence, but just like
the respect.
Respect for the past. But he also is not afraid to break with tradition and do his own thing if he feels it's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, Jarrett and AEW, I mean, look, it's been the theme of the episode, guys who have just worked out better than we imagined. I think that's true for Jarrett too. I mean, the acclaimed feud was so much fun. Every time Jarrett does that thing where he's about to get a pin and he goes, aha, I got it, yeah. And of course the guy kicks out at 2 because of it. I laugh and smile so much. And yeah, it's been so much fun. I can't help it. I'm Bree-woo pilled, Maura. I'm sorry. It's taken hold of me.
I don't know if I'm pilled, but I've enjoyed him a lot for sure.
Well, those were all of the standard themes on the list, but we're going to wrap up here talking about another song that Mikey Ruckus just put out recently. Finally, after many, many months of work, he put out the Hater Rave. Hater Hits Hard, the 30-minute rave mix that is built on Jamie Hayter's theme, but it includes like 20 other AEW themes in there for like FTR and Adam Cole, Britt Baker, Butcher and the Blade, and Lee Moriarty, just so many others, all in one big EDM rave bonanza. We're not going to play the whole thing, obviously, but it's all on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes and Bandcamp, that too, yeah, Bandcamp, and yeah, it's really great, and it's another feather in the cap of Mikey Ruckus, who doesn't have to do all this. Like this, the 8-bit album, the symphony stuff, the hip hop album, all the remixes he does. He doesn't have to do all of it, but he wants to do it because he loves making music and he loves just working his ass off for the fans. So yeah, this is just fantastic, and I give 2 big thumbs up to Mikey Ruckus on his big Hater Rave mix. Maura, it's great.
I love it. I think it's so much fun. I think also shout out to the Hybrid 2's theme, which was low-key one of my favorites when it was being aired regularly. But I think that it's just, it really is fun, but also the ways in which he uses some elements of the themes are really fun. Like, I love the way that the Best Friends, boom, 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 gets into the mix at that one point, or the Danhausen, Very Nice, Very Evil. I think that it just shows how his aesthetic is very varied, but at the same time, it's all coming from a similar, like it's coming from a defined sensibility. And it's also just really fun to listen to. It's just really fun. Like picking out the bits too. I mean, I'm sure that there's stuff that I haven't even picked out yet that's like a guitar line from this or something, because that's how kind of dense he is at his approach to making these songs, and it really shines through in efforts like this and 8-Bit Mayhem and the Symphony series and other things that he's done.
Right. Yeah. My favorite part is right towards the end when it gets to the Kenny Omega section with new lyrics that Little V Mills did just for this mix. It's all airy and emotional, and then it kicks in with all that EDM goodness, and it's like when I hear that, I become the meme of Winnie the Pooh's soul leaving his body.
Aww.
Like I ascend to a higher plane of existence when I hear that part. So I want a full song of just that. So Mikey, if you're listening, Bubby, please make a full version of Battle Cry just like that, and that would be very cool for your pal Andrew. So if you're listening, man, please do that. Thank you.
Who knows where the story will take us?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Music of the Mat. Thank you so much for listening. And Maura, thank you so very much. This was an absolute blast. Just so much fun having you on the first time. And you were just a real gem of a guest. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That's so nice. Well, this was so much fun to be here. I told some friends that I was going to be on this, and they were like, that seems like the perfect podcast for you. And I was like, I hope so. I hope I do a good job. So thanks.
Of course, yeah. Well, any plugs you want to give? Go right ahead.
So you can find my work in the Boston Globe and in Rolling Stone. And this weekend I'm reviewing the Taylor Swift show. So that's another lore-heavy enterprise that I will be entering into. And I have a show on Uncertain FM, which is a streaming radio station run by TJ Connolly, who is the DJ for the Patriots and the Bruins. And it is on every Tuesday at 10 p.m. And I talk about wrestling and I play a lot of really good music from various eras. And the station overall is really a lot of fun. Lots of different DJs with different sensibilities, but they all love music and geeking out about different parts of it. So it's super cool.
All right. And Music of the Mat is, of course, part of the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. You can find all the great shows on there at voicesofwrestling.com. Follow the show on Twitter at Music of the Mat. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew T. Rich. voicesofwrestling.com/Discord for discussions and comments. I'm on there. Maura, you're in there as well, of course.
I am.
voicesofwrestling.com/donate. For any donations, just click the big donate button beneath the name Music of the Mat. If you donate, hey, thanks so much. You're awesome. And of course, rate, review, subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many other places. Maura, thank you again, and I'll see you around.
Thank you so much.
All right, for Maura Johnston, I'm Andrew Rich, and I'll see you next time on Music of the Mat. Take care, guys.
Music of the Mat is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The songs used throughout this show are property of their respective copyright holders.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/post. That's ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter.com/post.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the podcast all about Joshi Pro Wrestling here on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. Every other Monday, we are with you talking about the biggest news in Joshi, along with show reviews, previews, and much, much more.
So if you're new to Joshi or you've been a longtime fan, this is the show for you. We've got something for everyone here. So check us out, Jumping Bomb Audio.
Hello there, my name's Neil David and I'm the host of Euro Graps Express, the podcast exclusively dedicated to the wrestling of Europe. If it's wrestling and it happens in Europe and it's good, we talk about it. Whether it's Rev Pro, Progress, WXW, Passion Pro, Pro Wrestling Chaos, Pro Wrestling North, we don't care, we talk about them all. If it's good and it's exciting, I want to share it with you. We're on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Check us out on the feed. Check us out on Twitter at EuroGrapsEXP. And join us for chat about European wrestling and a little bit of chat about cheese. Hopefully see you there.